Breaking today, Prince William doubles down. According to multiple sources, it's now a matter of when, not if, he strips Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal title.
Is Meghan Markle thinking how this woman is completely unraveling? Because now she doesn't get that a royal title, it is not property. She's now threatening to sue Prince William.
A strange wave has taken over the global news cycle, especially across the Atlantic. Prince Harry drops yet another press release, loud and frantic, right on cue when all eyes are already locked elsewhere. The timing never feels random, and the pattern is impossible to ignore now. It's the same play every time. Noise, urgency, and a clear hunger for attention. While headlines spin in circles breaking down Harry's latest move, something way heavier is happening quietly in London, and almost nobody is talking about it. While Meghan was busy giving interviews, filming big-budget streaming projects, and pushing out memoirs, Prince William was moving in silence. No cameras, no headlines, no flashy announcements. Just calculated steps happening behind closed doors. This isn't messy family gossip or cheap tabloid drama.
She is not a blood royal, so herself, she's not titled. People keep calling her Duchess Meghan, putting the title before the name. That only applies to blood royal.
This is about serious power moves that could reshape the entire structure of the monarchy with one signature. That's not hype, that's reality. There were no press leaks from Buckingham Palace, no grand speeches, just years of quiet planning inside Kensington Palace and Clarence House. And to really grasp how serious this is, you have to understand the deep split between the king and his heir. King Charles leads with emotion. He believes in forgiveness, second chances, and keeping family bonds intact at all costs. To him, being a father comes before wearing the crown. He still believes that one day the door will open and everything can be made whole again. William doesn't see it that way anymore. He believes the institution must come first no matter what. And what he's been building quietly is a system that could flip everything for the Sussexes. The title that helped elevate Meghan's public image, the Duchess label stamped across brands, podcasts, and book covers, might not be permanent. And once you understand how this plan works, it becomes clear this isn't about payback. It's about survival and evolution.
But I do feel that actually having done it once with Andrew, you can do it again with Harry and Meghan.
For years, people have watched Charles and William operate on totally different wavelengths. Charles stays committed to reconciliation, shaped by an old-school belief that unity is everything. Even after public damage, he kept the door open. There's something respectable about that mindset. Family first, no matter the cost. But William has been watching that strategy collapse in real time. He's seen the monarchy take hit after hit while staying silent and composed. Then came the turning point. A private conversation between father and son changed everything. William allegedly realized that mercy wasn't fixing the problem, it was making it worse. He reportedly told the king that the kindness meant to heal was actually weakening the institution, not the family, the monarchy itself. And from that moment on, William stopped waiting and started acting. This is where the split becomes impossible to ignore. Charles looks at the situation and sees damaged family ties that need fixing. He sees Harry and his daughter-in-law and reacts from the heart.
Meghan's actually threatened that she's going to take out some sort of terrible thing if it does happen, that she won't allow that to happen. But we'll see what the fight is when it gets going.
Driven by emotion and hope, William sees something else entirely. He sees a weakness in the structure itself. Where his father sees people he loves making messy choices, William sees a system being stretched past its limits. To him, this isn't personal, it's operational. William understands one hard truth. An institution that's lasted for centuries can't survive if people walk away from responsibility but keep the prestige. That setup doesn't work long term, and he knows it. While Charles believes patience will eventually calm the storm, William sees a glitch that could crash the whole system if it's not fixed fast. And he's not waiting around for a crown to land on his head before acting. William is already moving pieces across the board, quietly, carefully, and right now. And here's the wild part. He's built a team most people don't even know exists. This isn't a PR squad or a damage control crew. This is a strategic inner circle. Think heavy hitters, not press flacks. He's brought in constitutional historians who know the deepest rules of the crown like a playbook. He's also consulted top-level strategists who understand how the monarchy actually functions behind the scenes. And no, this isn't some emotional response to a streaming series or media buzz. What they're building is way bigger than that.
Or any monarch who dares take her title away. Meghan is only using a royal title, her husband's royal title that he holds for now.
They're drafting an entirely new framework for how the monarchy operates in the future. Clear lines, clear rules, no wiggle room. Right now, the system relies too much on tradition, assumptions, and unspoken agreements that everyone will do the right thing. William doesn't trust that anymore. He wants rules that can't be twisted or misunderstood. A setup that locks things down tight and leaves no room for exploitation. And the end goal? It's bold and kind of shocking. William wants the reigning monarch to have clear, written authority to decide who is officially in and who is officially out. Not based on emotions, not based on family pressure or legacy, based on one simple standard: service. If you work for the institution, serve the crown, and carry the responsibility, you keep the title, the status, the protection, everything. But if you step away to chase independence, personal brands, or private deals, that's your choice. What you don't get to do is take the institution with you. The royal part doesn't follow you out the door. William's mindset boils down to one hard rule. If the crown means everything, it can't mean something to everyone. Exclusivity is the source of its power.
But they have pushed themselves so far. They have behaved so badly. They still are. And they're taking what happens within the royal family and smashes it.
The moment everyone gets a taste, the value drops. When titles become marketing tools instead of service roles, the meaning evaporates. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. William isn't acting out of spite. He's studying what actually keeps the monarchy standing decade after decade. He's thinking long-term, 50, 100, even 200 years ahead, and asking what this institution needs to survive. And his answer is firm, enforced, non-negotiable boundaries. This team isn't working in isolation either. They've quietly studied how other modern monarchies operate. Places like Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands, where systems evolved without losing relevance. No noise, no drama, just strategy unfolding in silence. They're building a modern playbook based on what actually works right now, not outdated tradition. And this is where William's style completely separates him from anything Charles would ever attempt. Charles would negotiate. He'd search for a middle lane, a soft compromise, a half-in, half-out setup that keeps everyone feeling included and calm. William is done with that mindset. His approach is clean and ruthless in its simplicity. The rules are the rules. They apply to everyone, no exceptions. Now, if you don't like them, that's fine, but they're not changing. In William's view, the monarchy isn't a casual family operation you dip in and out of when it suits your lifestyle. It's a serious institution with a defined purpose.
And Meghan just thinks she's too wonderful to be left out of it, and she will win because she'll go to court if she doesn't keeps her title. I don't know, it's very hard. It's very hard to lose your title. But I do really hope that it's taken away. I mean, she's complained for over 6 years now.
You're either fully committed or fully out. No gray zone, no special treatment. And this isn't just theory or behind-the-scenes talk. There's a real concrete tool that makes all of this possible. And it has a painfully boring name that hides massive power. It's called letters patent. Sounds dry, right? But don't be fooled. This is one of the strongest levers the monarchy has. Letters patent are basically an executive command from the sovereign. This is how the crown officially rewrites the rules on titles, status, and who is considered royal. No public vote, no long debates, no waiting on approval, just one document, one signature, and the entire structure shifts overnight. To really get how serious this is, you have to look at history. Back in 1917, King George V took one look around and realized the royal title list was out of control. There were distant relatives everywhere, loose connections, titles flying around like party favors. The prestige was fading fast, so he acted. He issued letters patent that cut the list way down. And just like that, people who had always been seen as royal suddenly weren't anymore. No chaos, no scandal, no drawn-out arguments, just new rules and done. That's how this system works. The monarchy doesn't need permission to adapt. When the sovereign signs, it becomes reality. A lot of people assume that the 1917 decision locked everything in forever, but that's not true. Any monarch can issue new letters patent. It's happened multiple times throughout history, especially when the institution needed to evolve.
The title does not belong to Rachel Meghan Markle. All royal titles belong to the monarchy.
And that's exactly where William's team comes in. They've reportedly already drafted a new version. It exists right now, finished, finalized, and waiting in a secure vault at Kensington Palace. The update is brutally clear. Only working royals, those actively serving the institution full-time, keep their titles and official status. Everyone else, still family, still loved, still welcome at private gatherings, but not royal in the formal sense. Let that sink in for a second. This doesn't take years of negotiation or public approval. It takes one signature. The king signs it, it becomes official, and the entire landscape flips instantly. Meghan's entire public identity hinges on one word: Duchess. And with one signed document, that word and everything attached to it could disappear just like that. Take away the official recognition of that title, and the whole foundation starts to crack. Yes, she would still be married to a prince, but a prince without institutional backing is a very different thing. Without formal recognition, that status turns into a courtesy label. It sounds nice, but it doesn't carry real weight. It doesn't unlock the same doors or hold the same value in the rooms where she's been operating. That title isn't decorative, it's functional. Meghan's entire professional machine runs on it. Speaking gigs, production deals, brand partnerships, all of it traces back to that royal connection. She's not positioned as just another public figure. She's framed as royalty who stepped away, and that angle is the hook. That's what separates her from everyone else and keeps interest high. Look at the branding. The podcast wasn't just her name, it carried Duchess of Sussex. The books, same thing. Interviews, appearances, collaborations, all introduced with that title front and center. That title is the base layer. Everything else stacks on top of it. Now, imagine that base vanishing, not through a loud clash, but through quiet paperwork. No dramatic showdown, no public meltdown.
Just like she falsely claimed that her last name is Sussex, it's not. Well, in all this quagmire that is Meghan Markle's ignorance, we're going to get into how she's planning to sue Prince William.
Just an official update released through standard channels, and suddenly everything shifts. Take it away, and the questions start fast. What happens to the speaking fees? What happens when she's introduced at events with no royal identifier attached? Sure, rooms might still be interested, but are they as interested? One insider summed it up simply: without that word, there's no anchor. Public attention is slippery. Popularity fades, trends move on, and new faces replace old ones. But monarchy isn't a trend, it's permanent. It carries centuries of institutional credibility. She could still do media projects and stay visible, but there's a huge gap between celebrity and royalty. One is about attention, the other is about legitimacy. And the coldest part? How silent this could all be. No confrontation needed. Just an update and the landscape changes overnight. The entertainment industry doesn't run on emotions. It runs on value calculations. They don't pay for personality alone. They pay for exclusivity, for a unique angle, for something others can't replicate. Remove royal legitimacy, and that math changes fast. So where does William get the confidence to make a move this bold? Simple. He's been watching how other monarchies handle it. One example stood out to him. Denmark. The Danish monarch made a decisive move that sent shockwaves through royal circles across Europe. Several close family members had their royal titles removed in one clean decision. No scandals, no chaos, just clarity. The reasoning was blunt and practical. Too many titles blurred the line between who represented the crown and who didn't. So the system was simplified. The message became clear and the structure tightened up. William followed that situation closely. He watched the headlines, tracked public reaction, and studied how the aftermath was handled. It wasn't instantly popular. There was pushback and discomfort, but over time, the monarchy came out sharper and more focused. People understood who the working royals were and what they stood for. The institution didn't weaken, it strengthened. William took notes. The lesson was clear. Act quietly, act decisively. Don't chase approval. No apologies. No dragging it out. Make the call, announce it, and move forward. That's the blueprint, and it shows how fast a monarchy can adapt when boundaries are finally enforced. Life moved on, and the family adjusted. The biggest lesson was crystal clear. Monarchies survive by changing before a crisis forces their hand. William took that lesson seriously. He's been quietly reaching out to experts across Europe, asking one sharp question again and again: how do we stay relevant without losing what makes us untouchable? The answer keeps coming back the same: boundaries. The monarchies that thrive are the ones with clear lines. Everyone knows who's in, who's out, and what the rules are. No gray zones, no confusion, no mixing privilege with selective responsibility. Denmark proved it could be done, and it worked. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, Meghan's team started noticing the shift. Whispers began circulating. Phrases like title reform and restructuring started popping up more often. At first, it sounded like background noise, classic palace chatter. But then the details got sharper. Phones started buzzing nonstop. Emergency meetings were suddenly on the calendar. Everyone was asking the same thing. What now? Her team isn't careless. They understand how much her public positioning depends on that royal connection. So they started running scenarios, hunting for angles, and trying to protect what they'd built. Then someone floated a bold idea. What if the title became a brand? What if Duchess of Sussex was trademarked and turned into a business identity? On paper, it sounded clever. A brand can be protected, defended, and controlled. But the palace saw it coming from a mile away. Before any paperwork could even gain traction, palace advisors had already locked things down. The commercial use of royal titles was quietly sealed off. That door slammed shut fast. One person close to the situation described it perfectly. It was like showing up with checkers to a chess match. While Meghan's team focused on brand defense, William's people had already mapped every possible move, every angle, every escape route. And the message couldn't have been clearer. The crown grants titles, and the crown controls how those titles are used. You don't get to reshape royal status into something private or commercial. That's not how the system works. That's when reality started to hit hard. This wasn't Charles leading with diplomacy. This was a different playbook from a different generation. William wasn't negotiating. He was drawing firm lines, and those lines didn't include loopholes. So how did the palace stay so far ahead? Preparation. Serious, methodical preparation. William's team didn't just brainstorm ideas. They brought in specialists, historians who know every precedent, strategists who understand protocol down to the fine print. They mapped out every scenario, every possible response, every loophole someone might try to exploit. Nothing was left to chance, and the smartest part, they didn't invent new rules. They used what already existed. Centuries of protocol already had the tools baked in. All they had to do was activate them. The monarchy has faced challenges for 1,000 years. People have tested its limits over and over again, and every time the system adapted, tightened up, and protected itself. William's team didn't invent anything new. They just dusted off safeguards that were already there. They figured out which old-school protocols still applied to modern situations and brought them back into play. It was like finding a rule that's been sitting in the rulebook forever, ignored, forgotten, but still valid. Once enforced, everything clicked. The support for these moves came quietly and deliberately. Everything was framed as modernization, streamlining, and clarity for the modern era. And honestly, who's going to argue with clarity? Who's going to push back against modernization? That framing was slick. It made every move look forward-thinking instead of personal. Evolution, not punishment. Because it was all grounded in tradition, there was no real way to fight it. You can't challenge the monarchy for using its own systems. You can't cry unfair when the same rules have existed for generations. That's how institutions protect themselves. They don't panic, they don't lash out, they don't get dragged into public messes. They activate systems built centuries ago for moments exactly like this. And now, after all the interviews, all the headlines, all the noise, this is where things landed. There's a different energy coming out of Buckingham Palace now. Calm, controlled, focused. It feels like direction finally replaced reaction. After years of responding to chaos, there's confidence again. Even critics are admitting it was smart. Love it or hate it, this was strategy at its finest. William isn't just waiting around anymore. He's already leading. He's not sitting back until his turn comes. He's reshaping the future right now, quietly and carefully. His entire approach has been dignity over drama. No public sparring, no reacting to accusations. Just steady strategic moves that let the system speak for itself. The monarchy didn't just get through this, it got refreshed. It looks sharper, more intentional, more focused than it's been in years. Confidence replaced defensiveness. Meanwhile, Meghan's story continues, but on new terms. The royal connection that once defined everything is shifting. The question hanging in the air is simple but heavy. Without institutional backing, who is she in those rooms? What's the pitch when the royal mystique isn't part of the package anymore? And the crown didn't need to tear anyone down. No confrontations, no revenge plays. It just evolved, it adapted. It used the same systems that have kept it standing for 1,000 years and applied them to a modern challenge. While everyone else was focused on the noise, William and his team were playing the long game. They weren't chasing headlines, they were building structure. And that's the real lesson here. You don't have to be the loudest voice to be the most powerful. You just have to understand the system better than anyone else. The crown didn't need to destroy anyone. It just waited, and now the plan is in motion. If you watch this and have thoughts, drop them in the comments below. If this breakdown made you see things differently, hit subscribe and stay locked in for more deep dives like this. Don't forget to like the video and share it with someone who needs to see it.